Red Chaos by Ed Fuller and Gary Grossman. Audible read by P.J. Auckland. Print and ebook editions by Beaufort Books. We hope you enjoy this sample.
Riley, get down! The volley of automatic gunfire in the hotel lobby made the order almost impossible to hear. But Dan Riley didn't need any warning from the hotel security assessing his options, if he had any at all. He breathed heavily. His pulse raced as he rewound the previous minute in his mind, piecing together the events as they had unfolded. He'd seen an older couple checking out, vacationers with too much luggage. A young woman glancing at her watch expectantly, then opening her purse, probably for a lipstick touch-up before heading out on a date. A man at the bar working on a Bloody Mary. A 7 or 8-year-old girl wearing a bright yellow dress sitting on a couch, well into her Goosebumps book. 2 hulking characters flanking her tightly. A boy carrying a skateboard, undoubtedly ready to get away from his parents. A concierge at her desk arranging theater tickets or giving directions. Some 20 other people also in sight spread throughout the lobby. Then 5 men entered. 5 huge men with shaved heads, all wearing long, loose-fitting leather jackets. One marched purposely toward the front desk. The remaining 4 split up and headed directly to the far corners of the lobby. Riley watched and concluded, they're taking up strategic posts. He tapped the officer beside him on the shoulder and whispered, "Look, there." He nodded to the near corner. And there, the opposite corner. Something's going down. The officer didn't immediately pick up on his concern. The concern was that Riley saw people who were armed, and he wasn't. Riley took in the entrance in one sweep. A dangerous choke point, poorly designed with 2 narrow manual doors that would become instantly clogged in a mad rush. Riley feared that kind of chaos if things truly turned bad. He'd seen it before. Young and old people died. Just then, a 6th man entered wearing a long leather coat that was definitely not in season. He stopped 5 steps into the lobby and scanned the space just as Riley had. He exchanged a nod with the man who had taken up position at the front desk. A signal. A signal that told Riley the figure who just arrived was the head of the snake. Riley glanced back to the front as the man removed what appeared to be an AK-47 from under his coat. Then, without warning, he raised the weapon and fired 5 rounds into the ceiling. That was 10 seconds ago. Everyone ducked, some faster than others. One of the 2 men sitting with the little girl on the couch threw his body over her. Riley dropped behind a couch as the security officer crawled to the nearest man standing. But not just a man, an assailant with his version of the same weapon as the leader. For now, there was nothing Riley could do. That was not his way. Dan Riley, 43, president of the International Division of the Kensington Royal Hotel Corporation, was touring the Capitol Hoganville Hotel outside of Washington, D.C. A friendly visit, though experience told him never to be complacent. At that moment, panic struck. A woman close to the entrance rose and ran toward the door. The leader grabbed her with his left hand and pulled her in. A shield. With his right, he swept his weapon across the room. "You behave, you leave," he shouted. "So in the interest of your own health, sit down. Better yet, lie down." Riley heard a German or Slovakian accent. It was cruel and dangerous, all too familiar in tone. No one responded. He fired again. "Have I not made myself clear?" Those nearest offered a meek yes. "Everyone," he repeated. "Do you understand?" punching every word. He heard compliance except from the young woman at the front desk. From her standing position, she slowly inched toward a door behind her as others lay down. The move caught the eye of the corner man near Riley. "No!" the gunman shouted. The woman panicked. She turned and bolted. The terrorist closest to her turned and shot her in the back. Men and women screamed. The security officer with Riley removed his gun as he knelt. Riley was surprised he even carried, but aiming quickly, he took out his near-corner man. Then he stood, spun right, and shot the terrorist near the front desk. It would be his last kill. Crossfire over the huddled captives took him down from the other three corners. His Glock fell 3 feet from Riley. He dove for it fast, pulled the pistol in, and rolled to the right against a man lying face down. Riley caught his breath. He saw the woman who had checked her watch and her purse lying low a few feet away. She gritted her teeth. Riley put his finger to his lips, indicating she should stay still. She blinked confirmation. Riley controlled his breathing. He knew the room, where his targets were standing, where civilians were most vulnerable. No more than 30 seconds had elapsed since the first gunshots. It felt like an eternity to Riley. Combat was like that, elongated, exaggerated. "You see what happens when you don't listen," the leader said, stepping further into the lobby and purposely walking toward people to his right. The terrorist continued to bark instructions, but Riley shut him out. He had to concentrate and draw on his experience in battle. His mind raced back in time to more than a decade ago, to his service with the U.S. Army in Afghanistan, to an ambush that should have never happened. He lived to talk about it, except that he couldn't. Command quickly clamped down. The mission was stamped classified because of 2 participants. Very few people knew the truth. He had also been in dangerous situations since. In the past 18 months, Riley's work had taken him into danger zones in Asia, South America, the Middle East, and Europe. To hotel bombings, street shootouts, interrogations by rogue military officers. He faced an assassin in Brussels and chased down a killer in Stockholm. He'd squared off with a Mexican cartel leader and stood up to a Russian spy. Not the typical work of a business executive. But Dan Riley was nowhere near typical. He remained low, watching the leader's legs as he crossed the room. Riley figured his best opportunity, perhaps his only one, would come after a few more steps when the gunman passed his position, facing away. He could get him, but he likely wouldn't survive the next round when the 3 corner men found him in their sights. He might get one. Beyond that, still he felt he had to try. As he began to rise to take his first, and perhaps only shot at the head of the snake, he heard the wail of sirens. Police were on the way. Possibly hostage negotiators or the SWAT team. Now he felt it would be better to wait. Stay down, he told himself. That would have been fine if the next thing didn't happen. The civilian closest to Riley saw that he had the security guard's weapon. Suddenly taking him as one of the bad guys, he screamed, "No, don't shoot me!" Acting on impulse, he jumped up and headed for the entrance. Others saw the opportunity to follow. The old man with all the suitcases shouted for his wife to follow. Bloody Mary Man rose and rushed forward with the growing crowd. Head of the snake fired and dropped him and the old man's wife. The choke point choked. Outside, the sirens stopped. Riley heard doors open, the orders shouted. But getting in would be impossible, and the assailants had multiple ways to leave once their mission, which had become clear to him, was accomplished. Now, with the cover of others standing, Riley got to his knees, then to full height. He stepped over the woman he had motioned to be quiet, maneuvered around the crowd, and found a target. His aim was good. The leader took 2 hits to the chest. Riley then found the 2 cornermen at 45-degree angles. He got one. He missed the second. More screams, more panic. The last remaining terrorist grabbed the boy with the skateboard and used him as protection. He began shooting indiscriminately. Riley tracked him. He willed himself to wait for the best shot. A safe kill. Safe kill. The phrase had always struck him as such a contradiction in terms. He shook it off. He suddenly had an opportunity, a side angle. But as quickly as the opportunity arose, it ended when people pushed against one another and blocked his shot. Wait. The remaining attacker hustled to the office door the front clerk had hoped to make. He pushed the boy down and raced ahead. Riley steadied his right wrist with his left and breathed in. A shot echoed in the lobby. It wasn't from Riley's gun. The young woman he had motioned to remain quiet, the woman with the large purse, large enough to contain a Smith & Wesson M&P T4E, expertly put 2 shots dead center into Dan Riley's chest.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to this enhanced sample of Red Chaos by Ed Fuller and Gary Grossman. Red Chaos is available in print and ebook editions from Beaufort Books and, of course, Audible. Red Chaos is the 3rd book in the Red Hotel series. It starts with Red Hotel, then Red Deception, and now Red Chaos. Thanks for listening.